The amazing viral video. Market Watch reports Walgreens shoplifter fills trash bag with stolen goods and bikes out of store. Bay Area retail theft has seen Walgreens close 17 San Francisco stores in the last 5 years. Look at this amazing photograph. For those that are just listening, I'll describe it. There's a woman and she's like exasperated with her hand up as a security guard is literally just filming the guy. And the dude's stuffing what's like a 25-gallon shopping garbage bag. He's just dumping things off the wall. I wonder what he's stealing. What are they like? They're in like the eye care aisle, I think.
Personal goods.
That's
usually what's behind that little wall.
What do you mean personal goods? What's
like
that?
Deodorant.
Deodorant. This dude is stealing all the deodorant. I don't know that he's stealing all the deodorant.
How dare he?
But then he just hops on his bike and rides away. And that's it. That's what's been happening in San Francisco. So apparently there was this proposition back in 2014 that was pushed, obviously, by the Democrat supermajority that would make any shoplifting under $950 a misdemeanor. And at that point, cops were like, well, we're not going to respond to these calls anymore. Once the cops stop responding, more and more people start committing these crimes. More and more people committing crimes means the cops can't respond to everybody. So now it's a riot. Like literally, I would describe this as San Francisco is in a permanent state of rioting.
It's a permanent state of shoplifting for sure.
But
yeah.
Or looting. We'll call it looting.
Yeah, I think it is that. And it's because the police officers obviously aren't going to prosecute these misdemeanor crimes. There's nothing for them to go pick these people up. And also, people are just going to get released as soon as they're arrested anyway. So even if they were to arrest people for these misdemeanors, the DA is just going to let them go. It's completely pointless policing.
Would you want to live there?
I would not, in fact.
But don't you live in New York?
I do, but New York is different. Although I will say that the last time I went to Rite Aid and I tried to pick up some gum, it was in a locked box, and I had to take it. It was gum.
Gum.
It was it was a 4-pack, so that's serious money, right? But I had to take it up to the front to get it released from the locked box.
Another thing that's really incredible here is that a lot of these stores are closing down in droves. I'm hearing estimates of 17 Duane Reades being closed in California because of the constant theft. Because they can't
17
even make
Walgreens in San Francisco specifically.
Yeah, they can't make any money because people are just coming in, taking whatever they want. And then the security guard, I mean, that was the most hilarious part of the video that not many people picked up because it was so awe-stunning to see. The security guard's literally standing there like, and then the lady next to him is like, hey, should we call 911? And the security guard is like,
no. I stand the security guard. Security guard's getting paid, what, like $10 an hour? The cops don't support the stores anymore. The laws that have been passed are just, it's happening every day. I'm with the security guard in this one. I'd be like,
back in I think, what was it, 1998, I was working at a hat shop in Philadelphia. I don't even know if there's hat shops anymore, but I was working there. And there used to be this guy who would come in every couple of days and steal a stack of hats. And it was just me at the store.
A stack?
Like a full-ass stack of hats. And he'd walk into the store and I'd be like, hello again, how are you? And he'd, I'm going to take these hats. And I'd be like, okay, yeah. He'd be like, I'm going to take these hats. I was 20, I don't know.
No, wait, don't.
Yeah, and I was like, okay, well, when you take the hats, I'm going to call the police. And he's like, yes, I know you're going to call the police. He walked out of the store with the hats. I called the police. 2 hours later, they show up. Mm-hmm. I'm already closing the store. I filed a report. I was walking home from work one of the days. And there he was on the street with a blanket laid out with all the hats. And I was like, hey, how's it going? He was like, how'd that work out for you? Call the police.
No, that's amazing.
Yeah, and that was that.
He should have at least given you one of the hats for free.
He really should have. My boss, who was this woman who was kind of badass, she was like, you have to go after that guy. And I was like, nah, I'm not doing that.
I can't believe
I can't possibly do that. I'm 20. I'm high. Like, I'm not running after that guy.
Add $4 an hour and we'll tack on security.
And then maybe.
Yeah.
No, I was working at Sunglass Hut in university, and I mean, we used to get robbed constantly, but they told us that was a policy. It's like, you don't go after the thieves. I mean, especially in San Francisco, you don't know if they have weapons. Are you really gonna, the security guard, how much is he getting paid? $20 an hour? He's gonna risk getting stabbed or whatever for deodorant? Is that what you said?
Yeah, you don't want to get stabbed over deodorant.
There is zero incentive for the cops and even less for the security guard.
Well, so think about this problem. I mean, how do you solve it then, right? I think it's you're right. the guy's stealing a bunch of deodorant. Why should I care? However, if you don't stop this guy, what happens? Everyone starts doing it. It's a permanent state of looting.
Well, and that's what's going on. And this was a terrible law. It should never have been passed. I think that's clear. And it also, laws like this, I think it was like Prop 47 or something.
Yeah,
laws
something like
like
that.
this are completely, they go against what the liberals are trying to do anyway. Because once you have all of these places shutting down, you're recreating the food deserts that so many city policies were trying to avoid. So who's going to open a grocery store in an area with high crime? And then the people who live in that area aren't going to have any food. And then you're going to have a food desert. And then you're going to have an obesity problem. And it's just going to compound.
Actually, one of the things I was reading about when the Walgreens started shutting down, elderly people who live in San Francisco can't get their medications anymore. Because there was one story about a guy who used to walk downstairs and then walk 10 feet to I think it was like a Duane Reade or whatever, or CVS. They closed down because of all the shoplifting. Now he's got to walk miles, like 1 or 2 miles, to actually get to his pharmacy now. And it's only a matter of time before they all shut down. You know, my favorite thing about all of this, though, is one of the remedies to all the shoplifting has been they started putting the items that are getting stolen in lockboxes.
Like my gum.
Yeah.
Well, what happened was the item. So there's a photo that went viral showing like hair care products, and the hair care products for black people were in a lockbox, and the
Yep.
ones for white people weren't. And the left started saying it was racist.
Yep.
And it was interesting because I'm sure the manager and the corporation did not go out there and say, we're going to do this because the company is racist and lock up only the ethnic minority hair. They were probably just looking at a list of like things that were getting stolen and said, if it's getting stolen, lock it up. And some guy who has no idea what's going on just goes, okay, product 17 and product 34. Now, to stop the shoplifting, they're all racist, I guess.
The other thing, too, is that because so many of these stores are just corporate chains, you don't have anyone who's working at the store who really cares what goes on at the shop.
Yeah.
It's not like a local pharmacy that's run by a family or whatever who's going to actually care about what happens there.
Well, I think another aspect we're not really considering here is maybe the guy thought it was a Amazon cashless store and was just walking out. I mean, that's also a possibility here.
With his mask on.
but
It was a mask for COVID. He was just trying to be considerate.
But in
Yep.
all seriousness, I remember being in San Francisco 2 years ago investigating the crime that has been happening there, and it's been slowly escalating ever since. I remember walking and just talking about the poop on the street, which there's an exorbitant amount of people literally taking a crap in the middle of downtown San Francisco. I remember reporting on this, walking by, and there was a woman screaming on the top of her lungs, running across the street, jaywalking. There was police officers behind me as I was doing the walk and talk. Police officers heard this woman scream in the video. You can see this right now, youtube.com/WeAreChange San Francisco. And then the cops just decide to walk the other way. And I'm like, what the hell am I experiencing? Where literally people are, some would say right now that they're vaccinating themselves in the middle of the streets. They're
I'm
not
sure
doing
that's
that.
what it is, yeah.
They're
just trying to be wearing masks because of COVID.
I don't think they're that available. I think they're injecting something else into their veins in the middle of the street. But it was like a zombie apocalypse wasteland 2 years ago. And now to see these stories and see it escalate and to talk to people who were there. I mean, we're talking about the center of tech entrepreneurs. We're talking about Silicon Valley. We're talking about some of the richest, most influential people in the world who voted for this, now having to deal with the ramifications of this.
Here's the best part. During the lockdowns, we couldn't go to the bars. We couldn't go to churches. There was no water cooler. There was no conversation. You couldn't see your neighbors. If you were going to see anything in the news, it had to go through Twitter and Facebook and YouTube and whatever big tech platform. If you wanted to buy a book, it had to be on Amazon, or you had to go to, probably just Amazon, to be honest. And these people from San Francisco are regulating the opinions on these platforms, which means the worldview that created the nightmare dystopia that is San Francisco, it's being perpetuated through these platforms. Even right now, even with the lockdowns being lifted and our ability to go out and see movies and talk and hang out, still, for the most part, our opinions are sent through this filter of the big tech oligarchs. You look at how they run where they live. Their opinions should not be the ones we're propping up. But that's exactly what's happening. So it's only a matter of time, to be honest.
Well, and these are also people who didn't ever consider ethics. They're only considering algorithms and things like that. They've never looked into the actual effects of what they're doing, and nobody ever taught them how to do any of that stuff because we completely depleted our educational system. So that, what do? You major in marketing and memes, which, okay, that's interesting, I suppose, but it would help to have some measure of philosophy an understanding of political discourse and perhaps history that isn't entirely filtered through the lens of whether or not it's racist.
I feel like a big component is well, I'll put it this way. It's funny that there's some capitalist criticism, but then we also have this very serious problem of critical race theory ideology in our schools. You, on one hand, have college where it's like a large component is ridiculous jobs that are just for making money, but now colleges are being taken over by ridiculous majors that have nothing to do and will never make money. So you can either have the one extreme of, like you said, studying memes because memes make money for advertisers or whatever, or critical race theory and, gender sciences and studies, which don't produce anything for society.
Hey, there's nothing wrong with memes, okay? I love the
Memes are
memes.
cool.
Memes are
Memes are
amazing.
cool.
But also another thing we have to understand
the
here.
best major you could actually get.
Yeah, I mean, it's
Most
probably the most useful one that you
It might
actually
be
get the best
lucrative.
money
as,
for your
as
bang.
a component for marketing,
Yeah.
right? But a lot. So we had a problem for a while where a lot of jobs we had were pointless. Like the internet gets invented, and then look, no disrespect to my friends who work at fast food, but a lot of these cashiers are being replaced by kiosks.
Well, they're being replaced by kiosks in part because the minimum wage is going up to $15 an hour, and McDonald's, for example, doesn't want any part of that. So thanks, Joe Biden, for eliminating a bunch of entry-level jobs that could have taught young people how to have a job and show up on time.
And there's also the issue of unfettered immigration creating low-skill competition for those young people. And then the young people actually don't end up working in these places anyway.
Yeah.
Then they're told by their parents to skip these jobs and go straight to college. Then they get indoctrinated with ridiculous ideology. And then they get out and they're like, why can't I get a job in a newsroom with a gender studies degree? And it's like, because you're an idiot.
Did you see the thing now where the CBC, I don't know if you follow the Canadian Broadcasting Company, but they've decided to suspend all commenting for articles on Facebook because they don't want their reporters and journalists to feel bad when there's negative feedback for their stories.
It's such the stupidest
Yeah.
and most fake argument. 'Cause I'll tell you this, right? There's a bunch of stupid, like, cringy leftists who are tweeting outrage that Cassandra has joined and she's going to be running the
I
newsroom.
saw some of that.
I don't care. I'm like, dude, you guys, you'll literally get fired by your boss in 2 seconds if you say, like, fart. You know what I mean? You just went off and were screaming at this AP reporter who got fired for having bad opinions. And you know what? I'll eat this one. I was actually saying, well, maybe AP shouldn't hire her. And now there's equal criticism to me because Cassandra certainly got feisty opinions as well. All right. So I'll walk. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe we just don't have, you have your reporters focus on, like, if they're going to be opinionated on one thing, maybe they should cover something else. So I'll take that criticism. But how are you going to come out, Taylor Lorenz, who I don't have the biggest issue with, but I understand why people are upset with her and the things she posts for the New York Times. She complains all day and night about journalists getting harassed and how it's wrong, especially women journalists. And now what? I've got Cassandra, and she's written 5 articles. They're all very straightforward, regular news, and the left is screaming like it's the apocalypse, digging up her old tweets and posting them and tweeting at me. I'm like, is this a harassment campaign? Because, when you come out and complain that we tweet at journalists and then you tweet at me, you think I'm going to have any sympathy for you? Nah, you all are nuts. All right. Thanks for checking out this clip from the Timcast IRL podcast. If you want to see the full show, come back to this channel, youtube.com/TimcastIRL, Monday through Friday at 8 p.m., where you can leave comments and super chat, and we actually will read your comments on the show. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe. And if you want exclusive members-only content, segments you can't get anywhere else, go to timcast.com, become a member, and we even have full bonus episodes. Thanks for hanging out, and we'll see you all next time.